Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise in support of the reform legislation. This bill is not perfect, as the chairman said. It does not contain every reform that I would like to see or the reforms that I advocated for and many others advocated for, but it's a start. And most importantly, this bill is an improvement over what currently exists, over the status quo. The legislation begins to address the problems that we saw with the FBI's illegal surveillance of Trump campaign associate Carter Page. On December 9th, 2019, the nonpartisan Justice Department Inspector General released a 400-page report detailing the FBI's misconduct and the failures in its warrantless surveillance of Mr. Page. Congressman Meadows and I urged our Democrat chairman to hold hearings on this report, but they were not interested. Still, I hope all of my colleagues had a chance to read the Inspector General's report, because it should concern every single American. Remember, if our law enforcement agencies can do this to a president, imagine what they can do to you and I. The Justice Department Inspector General found 17 significant errors or omission in the FISA warrant applications for Mr. Page. Said more plainly, they lied to the court 17 times. Didn't tell the court important information, like the guy who wrote the dossier was being paid for by the opposition party's campaign. Didn't tell the court the guy who wrote the dossier that they used to get the warrant was, quote, desperate to stop Trump, and to communicate that to the Justice Department. The Inspector General also found 51 factual assertions made to the FISA court that were wrong or unsupported. It detailed how the FBI was too eager to rely on phony political opposition research conducted by Christopher Steele, and, as I said, funded by the Democrats. According to the Inspector General, the, quote, FISA request form drew almost entirely from Steele's reporting and describing the factual basis to establish probable cause to believe that Page was actually an agent of a foreign power, which was not true. Inspector General determined that the FBI did not have corroborating information to support the specific allegations leveled against Mr. Page. In fact, Steele was feeding the FBI gossip and innuendo as proof of wrongdoing, and then the FBI used that information, as I said, to spy on an American citizen without corroborating the information. This is a grave misuse of immense power that our federal government agencies have, and it's a severe abuse of trust. Now there have been a lot of talk about accountability for this misconduct, and I absolutely agree there needs to be accountability at all levels. The Inspector General found that the FBI attorney actually doctored a piece of evidence. An FBI attorney did this, doctored a piece of evidence used to obtain the warrant to spy on Mr. Page. The attorney took an email that would have cut against the surveillance order on Mr. Page and changed its meaning 180 degrees so that it would support the surveillance. Totally unacceptable. Same FBI liar who the Inspector General found to have shared anti-Trump text message with his colleagues, writing all kinds of things, the crazies won finally, viva la resistance. This attorney went on to serve on Special Counsel Robert Mueller's team investigating the debunked allegations about Russian collusion. The FBI's misconduct on FISA is not limited to junior staffers, as some of my colleagues have asserted. Such rampant and flagrant abuse can only occur because of senior leadership failures. Director Comey, Deputy Director McCabe, and General Counsel Jim Baker. In fact, the Inspector General said as much in his report. Here are his words. In our view, this was a failure not only of the operational team, but also of the managers and supervisors, including senior officials in the chain of command. And it's no coincidence that the two most senior FBI officials involved, Director Comey and Deputy Director McCabe, were both referred for criminal prosecution by the Inspector General for wrongdoing related to the investigations. We cannot forget this background, because that is why this reform legislation, again, while not everything we hope for, is a necessary first step. This bill would add several requirements to ensure a FISA application is complete and accurate, requires the Attorney General to sign off on FISA investigation of an elected official or candidate for federal office. It forces the Justice Department to fire anyone who knowingly hides information from the FISA court, and the bill enhances congressional oversight of the FISA process. It also allows the FISA court to appoint an amicus in cases involving political activities of a U.S. person. Because the FISA process is ex parte, meaning, of course, the U.S. person is not represented, I hope the appointment of the amicus will help the FISA court to protect the civil liberties of U.S. persons. Like I said, I think we can and should do more, and I look forward to working with the chairman toward that end. But right now, this bill would improve the civil liberty protections of U.S. citizens.